Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Have a great show lineup, a special guest here in the studio. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. High today is still in the 90. Right at 90 91, low is 73, and the water temperature is staying right on 84 degrees. Let's take a look at our river readings. The Apalachicola, the big river, is looking in good shape for the weekend. Now, it may start going up a little bit. You know, we've had all this rain, but we don't know how much they had up in South Georgia and what they're going to do with the gates at Chattahoochee. But this morning it's reading a 2.8. It may go up a little bit, it may rise a little bit on Saturday. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville, on the other hand, is just a steady drop to it. It's reading a 3.3 this morning, and may drop on down to 2 foot by Saturday morning if you're planning to go to the river. Take a look at a tide chart on your screen there, brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Today is September the 18th. Good strong tides. We have a low tide this morning at 5:21 and a high tide at 4:06. So we're in good shape there, and it's good for the weekend too. So everything's looking good on that. Marine forecast north-northwest at about 5 miles per hour. Okay. That takes care of all our outdoor weather. Let's go ahead and take our break, and we'll be back with our guest. Welcome back, and welcome Matt Smith.
Good morning, Coach.
I was telling Matt I hadn't seen him on the show in a while. He's been on with Bill a couple of times, but man, he used to be pretty regular with us.
I used to be on a pretty regular basis, at least once a week, right?
I know it. So we've been missing you. A lot of folks always ask about it, So what you been up to?
Just being out fishing, staying busy, fishing, working, and just getting, it seems like because of the periodic occasions now, it seems like we just kind of go one season to the next, and everything kind of fast forwards, and this summer is no different. Glad to see this weather changing. You talk about a north wind for our forecast. I don't even have to hear the temperature. Just out of that direction makes me happy.
It makes it good. A lot of y'all don't have a lot of new viewers over the years that pick it up. And Matt and I go way back. Matt came to Mose as a little ninth grader, and we just started talking about fishing and when in ninth grade. And from then on, we've always had just a good bond as a student. And as he got out of here, we still stayed in contact.
Perfect example of what all of this is all about.
Yeah.
In outdoors and having something in common, and it's a neat thing.
It really is. So even though I don't see you a lot, I feel like we're still real close and all. So
absolutely.
Tell us what's been going on fishing wise.
Well, we it's funny. I get that question a lot, and I try not to go on too much about it. But as a guide, you always go in reverse, and then you kind of look to the future. And going back in reverse a little bit, just to say, a whole lot better this time this year than last year. After all the rain we had, that was a big issue for us last year. We ended up really having a great summer. Very busy, lot of activity, a lot of people here. Fishing was good, weather was good, our bait situation improved. It's been a really good summer. Right now, it's one of my favorite times of the year to be on the water. I love, and going back to my bass fishing days, I use the term transitional, and this is the time of year where you get out on the water and you're going to see a lot of activity. You're going to see things moving, and I will tie that into our tip of the day at some point. But you've got a lot of bait fish migrating, a lot of fish feeding up. Even though it hasn't cooled off that much to us, the water temperature has continually cooled off. The days are starting to get shorter, and these fish are really getting active. Watching those water temperatures come down, a 1 degree temperature change to a fish is a big deal. But to answer your question, we're still catching the mangrove snapper bite. Has been really good this year in the bay. Offshore, king mackerel have been good. Still catching some amberjack. And then as continues to cool down, especially going into next month, the shallow water redfishing, particularly the redfish. And then as it starts to cool down, we'll trout fish also. And there's in any fish that you want to fish for right now. I know a lot of local anglers, a kind of a niche fishery is the flounder migration, and that won't be far off.
Yeah, we're close to that.
We're real close to that, and so you've got any species you want to pursue, you can get out there. They're going to be active and spend a little bit of time.
What would you tell folks that are just sort of starting getting into fishing and all? What would you tell them?
This would be a great time of year, and I'll go ahead and give my tip of the day. The tip of the day would be if you were going out, and we always talk about scouting, covering water, what to look for, and there's so many different things, but primarily would be activity. Right now, if I'm in an area and I don't see birds, bait, surface commotion, whether it be mullet, game fish feeding, you want to be where their activity, because right now the fish are active. And so if you're looking in an area, you're trying to dissect a piece of water, and you get in an area and you don't see a whole lot going on, stay on the move. And when you do find the activity, that's where you want to be. Pay attention to what's going on. Make sure your presentation matches what the fish are feeding on. But that would go for shallow water red fishing all the way out into the Gulf of Mexico, and looking for birds and bait, king mackerel. This time of year.
Now one thing you do, Matt, as a guide, you stay on the water. I know a lot of times all of us regular guys go early and then stay a couple hours and come back in. But a lot of times you're out there long periods of time.
Absolutely.
And what do you see the difference of during the course of a day?
During the course of a day, especially even though we're trying to get into fall, it's still warm, and so that right now I still can't stress the early morning. Early morning, and if you're not able to get out in the early morning, get out in the last few hours of the day. That midday section is still going to be pretty tough, pretty challenging, although there are options. But if I was going to recommend somebody with limited time, get out on the water early, spend a lot of time moving around, looking for activity. Water's good and clear right now. That's another huge advantage.
I know you guys live bait fish a lot, but now what about somebody topwater fishing this time of the year?
That's it. Good? Absolutely perfect, and that's a real good point. Is get that question a lot. We get a lot of calls in the middle of summer, July. Hey, I want to go throw topwater for redfish. Well, so do I, but it's not really what we need to do. It's pretty limited. So now is time of year. If you want to fish artificial and you want to get out, cover some water, throw a topwater plug. Perfect time of year. And there again, if you find activity, get that topwater plug out. You're gonna find action.
That sounds good. All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So here with Captain Matt Smith. And how long have you been a captain now?
Going on 5 years. Well, I've had my license longer than that, but been in business about 5 years.
You're doing business 5 years, but your captain license had a long time. You fished your entire life.
Our life. Been here the whole time. That's what I tell people on the boat. I take, fortunate to take people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world, and they say, well, where were you born and raised? I say, right here. I mean, you've been here your whole life? My whole life.
They don't understand it, do they?
No, fortunate.
Fortunate. Yeah, and we talked about what a wonderful place we live in and all. And, in the early years, you did a lot of bass fishing.
I did.
And I know you liked about bass fishing. So we're going to show you this. I just got this picture in last night. This is a great picture. We all know this guy. This is Houston Taylor. I've known Houston a long time. He is an excellent bass fisherman. Here's his story now. He caught both of these bass on one plug.
No boy.
Have you done that before?
Very seldom. I can never that size. I can tell you.
Here's on the line down there, 8 pounds and 3 ounces was the total weight.
Wow.
Caught by my dad, Houston Taylor, on the Apalachicola River. Good job, Houston Taylor. And he watched the show a lot. The whole family, Chad and all them watch the show. So thanks for sharing that picture, and congratulations. That's tough to do.
It is, and it's good to see good reports like that coming out of the river.
You think about the Apalachicola River and all the access and all the great areas of fish down there. And I speak the word access, and then you and I were talking the other night on the phone before you came, planning the show and all that. These access points, they started off with the St. Joe boat ramp, and then you started chiming in. So I said, let's talk about that.
We do need to talk about it, and it's one of those situations is we see things going on all over, sometimes all over the country, but when things hit close to home, especially when it's something that really affects you, people should take interest, and it's important. And one thing Justin and I have talked a lot about this, and you and I have. I think one of the biggest mistakes we can make, whether you're a citizen, outdoorsman, or if you have any interest at all, is to sit back and go, hey, well, that area that is being affected over there, for instance, Take Tail Swamp, that doesn't affect me.
Right.
I'm over here in Panama City. I may never go over there. That's not the best way to look at this. We need to look at this as a whole and realize that even though that might not be the area that affects you, you will be affected if we continue to see this pattern. So
Well, we talk about it and all, and it's like a series of battles, and we got this little chart here that this is interesting. I didn't really put it together, but Justin was able to put this together. Did it fall off? It's not up there.
Put it up there.
I got it right here.
Here
We got
we
this
go.
chart
Here we go.
Okay, but we start adding everything together, and it starts going from one or two little things to a bunch of little things here too, and
just a tough subject.
Technical difficulty. It is.
There we
is
go.
that right side up? All right, I'm gonna hold it right here, Jeff. Let's
go
with it.
All right, let's take a
All
look.
right.
Okay, what we want to kind of run down real quick, and these are just recent areas within the last year that we've had a effect. And at the very top, you're going to see the Econfina pumps. That's one of the main things we want to talk about here. When we run through these real quick, we've got this pumping station that's in the works up Econfina Creek. We had the issue with the Crooked Creek boat ramp. That's been done. That there was no public discussion. That was put into place. The St. Andrews State Park, the kiddie pool, had an issue out there, and I think we were able to get that resolved. Somewhat of a small victory there. The Tyndall buffers. We had a lot of public interest on that in restricting our area around the bay, the shoreline. Tate's Hill, I know you spearheaded that, Coach, and really brought that to people's attention. And then the public, quote unquote, public boat ramp down at St. Joe. I know that was another issue. But the interesting thing about it is looking at that map and looking at how it's labeled, the direction we're going and at the pace some of this stuff is happening. By the time I'm your age, it would not surprise me, and we'll do everything we can to not let it happen. That entire map is going to be restricted and highlighted. And
well, you brought that. When I saw that, I've always been a history buff, and I've always loved the war history, Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, and just you study the battles in those wars, and all those little battles add up, and that looked like a little battle chart to me, and really it is, and the sad thing about it, we're losing almost all those battles.
We're losing the battles, and here's something that I thought about, and this is why I take it so seriously, and I think most people out there are looking at this. Name an area that's become restricted, and for whatever the cause or the threat, name when that cause was removed, and they said we want to return this back to the original public access that it once was. It doesn't happen that way. It's always gradual. It's always continuing to expand.
And it's us outdoorsmen and the average citizen in America and it's against the government. I'm not against the government because we're all they help us in so many ways, but sometimes they step out over their line, I feel like, and they don't get any input from us. And I use again the Tate's Hill. I've already had people talk to me since I talked about it, and they had some friends escorted out of there by the government. They were in there taking a family on a Sunday picnic, and they were escorted out of there.
It's
not Tate's Hill.
That's not the way it should be.
Yeah. And then the St. Joe boat ramp. A lot of people. And we're not fighting it enough,
Nope.
We're not fighting enough, and sooner or later you see on this map, we're just losing everything.
And part of what's so frustrating is the way the process here. It's not always in plain sight. It's not always open for public discussion and look at our options and what's in the best interest for the area and the citizens. So to highlight the current issue, and one that hasn't been discussed as much, and I hope we can kind of air it out here and get discussion started on it, is the pumping station that is underway up Econfina Creek. And where the county pumps 20 to 30 million gallons a day out of Econfina or Deer Point Lake. Paper mill takes another 15 to 20 million. This is to increase that capacity for down the road, future growth, and that's understandable. But where it's going and why we're not seeing more information about it is the concern here. And the big reason is where it's proposed on Econfina Creek, right around the second set of power lines, a very shallow, narrow section. And to go in and put a pumping station, just basically similar to exactly what you have in Williams Bayou, the existing pumping station, they're going to have to dredge probably. I don't know the logistics of how that works, but the big thing is access. How is it going to go in that narrow, shallow section and still allow people the freedom to come and go, utilize that resource. We need some clarification, and I'd like to, and also to take it a step further, exactly get some clarification on what's going to be done with the water.
Yeah, and I was not aware of this myself, and you mentioned it the other day. I was not aware they're doing all this, and why in the world they'd want to go up in a beautiful, pristine area like Ecofina Creek and put a pumping station? It's beyond me. But so was all this other stuff. I would never. 5 years ago, I would not have conceived of somebody doing something at Chase Hill or charging $10 at St. Joe.
Well, we can't get a DEP permit to dredge or improve Coral Gray, but we can get a permit to bulldoze the most beautiful, pristine bluff on Crooked Creek and cover it in concrete. Spend $500,000 of our money with public opposition going, hey, this isn't something we want. Can we look at other options? These are examples, and once these things are permanently damaged, that's it.
Well,
there's no fixing. There's no changing it.
A lot of our elected officials are really good about spending other people's money, and I mean that from the heart. They really, as far as a common average citizen like us, we a lot of times just don't have a voice.
No, we don't, and it's important you vote. It's important you be informed, and we just want to bring awareness and for people to understand what's going on. And to me, I'm born and raised here, been here my whole life, hope to be here for many, many years to come. For the people out there watching that have kids and grandkids, let's try to keep as much of it like it is so we can share it with future generations.
Well, and you brought up a good point. By the time you get my age, there'll be a lot more restrictions if it keeps going like this.
We can do. There's a better way. We can do this smarter.
And they did. You're talking about you have laws where you do have public hearings, but the one on the Chase Hill, they let the people speak for 3 minutes. That was their time limit. Speak for 3 minutes.
I work for a living, and 9 o'clock at the government center is not where I work. So. We really need to allow people the opportunity, and this goes back to something we talked about when we were discussing another issue. Maybe we'll get to a point we'll have a Panhandle or Bay County sportsman club, and we really need a voice and we need a membership, and to say, hey, this is not just a couple guys standing out here saying we got an issue here.
Well, a lot of folks feel the same way we do. I know a lot of folks out there do, because I hear from y'all all the time, and it's just that no one's listening to us.
Right, and whether this affects the way you make a living or not, somebody might say, well, that's coming from a fishing guide. That issue with the bay, that's just that just affects him. Well, I've been passionate about this way before I ever ran my first charter trip.
Yeah.
This has to do with what's right and trying to. We have a true gem of a resource here, and we're so very fortunate.
Well, you see that when people come in from way out of town and all over the country to come down here, I bet
they remind me every day. I got a guy I'm taking into the week, and called and booked a trip, and I said, well, what do you guys want to fish for? He said, we don't care. We just want to be out of Atlanta and on your boat.
There you go.
And we live in a special place, and when we understand progress, I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not against development. Well, let's do it smartly, and let's look at all our options and really and try to do the best. Instead of thinking about what's good right now, let's think down the road.
But this is where a lot of people make a mistake. As outdoorsmen, we are environmentalists because we do love our water and we do love the earth, and we're not going to hug the tree. I mean,
no.
Development is inevitable, but it's got to be responsible development with the environment in mind.
Well, and to give credit where credit's due, we always want to do that. Where there is a lot of responsible. There's good stewards, and preserve as they go, and but it's these occasional poor decisions. Then this stuff's permanent. And
when people can see these dollar bills and all, they just they got greed, just they get tunnel vision and all, and it's sad. But that's just way of life. But we have to fight it. Let's take this final break. We'll be right back. All right, look, he's coming here on the show. I'm going to make him work a little bit. All right, Matt, what's on next?
All right, we're going to give you the fishing game times brought to us by Mark Cowart, Edgewater Beach Realty. First feeding times 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. this morning, and then this evening from 8:53 to 10:53 p.m.
And it goes without saying, you can see feeding times.
You can see feeding times. Time and time again, it's been proven.
Real quick, I got this email that's going to tie in what we just talked about. It's from Mike Brazel up in the Funac Springs. He said, Coach, What do you know about the proposed changes for campers on the Choctahatchee River Wildlife Management Area? I sent Stan Kirkland a notice also. There's a proposed meeting at the Red Bay Community Center October 30th at 6 p.m. Question, is camping on the river going the way of the red snapper? Please help, Mike Brazil. So we're going to check, that ties in exactly.
All ties in.
So we're going to talk more about that later. But your buddy Fred
keep
Myers.
Folks update. Yeah, I want to give a shout out and congratulations to our local Redfish Pro, Fred Myers. This past weekend won the IFA 3-day Pro-Am Challenge over in Slidell, Louisiana. Big deal, and especially when you go out of your home waters and do it. A lot of good,
serious
top-notch competition, and he made a 100-mile one-way run each day, and it's a little different format. He's got a co-angler or I guess co-angler. I'm trying to remember what they call it in that, but that's how it was bass fishing. He had a partner each day that fished against the other guys in the back of the boat, but all three of those guys were on board with his plan, allowed him to do what he wanted to do, and a big win, and that's just a really a neat thing.
Was that like a 2-day tournament?
3-day.
3-day.
3-day,
okay.
and that's tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
That's tough. 3 days to make everything go right.
What was some of the weights? You remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
They had been good.
They have been good. And those things are tight. The weights on those things. An ounce in a redfish tournament's a big deal. And tying into that, of course, looking forward to this year. Just next month, Elizabeth Baldorf Memorial Redfish Tournament, October 11th, and
we're going to have Jeff coming on the show Monday, and we're going to talk about that. And I know you fished it last year.
Absolutely, got a plan. I'll tell everybody how to win it. Yeah. How to win is you take a kid.
Yeah.
Take a kid fishing, and whether you catch a fish or not, make the day about that kid, and you win. You contribute to a great cause. You take a kid fishing, eat a barbecue plate at the weigh-in, buy a raffle ticket, and you can't go wrong. That's the way to do it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got a short period of time. What's your? I've already given a tip today, but now, what would you? Somebody going fishing this weekend? What would you?
Somebody going fishing this weekend, I would get out on water early. If you want to say fish for redfish, get out, cover water, throw that topwater plug, and don't stay in one spot long.
Keep moving around.
Keep moving around, and just enjoy being out there.
Okay. We're going to wrap things up. As always, Matt, don't wait so long.
No, I know. Things are slowing down. We come in a little more often.
All right. And folks, as always, we appreciate you watching Panhandle Outdoors and appreciate you having voice on all these issues. It's a big deal that we do this. Meanwhile, today you do something good for your fellow man. You have a great day, and God bless.
God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.